What's going on, crypto media friends? Here we are, late here on a Tuesday. Please subscribe. I do this live because this stuff is going on a constant basis. One of the mints I'm talking about today happened today. One you can't get in on right now as a mint, but the other is still minting. And so you'll be able to jump in right now. And if you're watching this 6 weeks from now, I apologize. You're going to be pretty pissed that you wouldn't here for the opportunity. But if you subscribe, hit that bell notification now. You'll be alerted as to when I do these live. I got some fun stuff coming up later this week. Finally going to start bringing in some of the crypto friends and, from the boards that I run to interact with us and talk about some of their projects. I think really just sort of at the forefront of this space, each in their own. And so looking forward to doing some more talks as we proceed. But today I just want to quickly talk about something that was dropping today. It was called Etholvants. And, it was just sort of a couple of, modest influencers were looking at this. And I thought it was interesting. But I think for me, it sort of almost signaled a bit of a chat about this type of gamifying of NFTs, and I think that there's a lot of smart, clever people who are a lot of smart, clever artists who are gamifying NFTs so that you can collaborate. And this is why sort of these projects like this one, you essentially you buy one and it has 24 cells, and you can stake it and it'll grow every 4 hours, gaining 2 cells. And so you can sit there and stake it, and over time it's going to grow and grow and grow. And so you're going to get, in a few days, you get 50 cells, 100 cells. And then it starts getting very complex, looking around 10,000 cells, so you think. And so you can also accelerate this by purchasing. And so right now there's some who are growing at a fast pace who are combining and selling for quite a high price, but they're only maybe at a few hundred cells. And so at this point in time, people are trying to accumulate, perhaps to be the forefront of having the highest number of cells and ostensibly the highest value, because the one with the most cells is, ostensibly has the most either time staked and or just took a lot of ETH to bring it all together as a collection. And so you can get a sense of how they begin and how they end. And so you can run the story of a lifetime thing here, complete with music, I believe. And you kind of see how it builds and fills out over time in this very kind of random pattern kind of way, seemingly in a mirrored image, creating this Rorschach-y kind of feel, but also interesting, quasi-organic in a sense, the building blocks of life, if you will, DNA. But if you look up the upper left, you'll also see the number of cells. We're getting up to a crazy point. This is 50,000 cells. What I showed you earlier was 10,000 cells, and that looked pretty intense. And so now we're approaching 100,000 cells. And so we're not done yet. And so once you get up to this level, though, it's just kind of hard to imagine. This is a very long timeline of getting what we have here, 333,000 cells to create this wolf with a pentagram in its forehead. I'm seeing some weird stuff, guys. and unicorns on the side. And taking a dump that seems to be an inverted version of himself. And so, gosh, this is saying so much about me and my mental state here late at night here in Los Angeles, doing the overtime show, talking about, interesting work in NFTs and in the metaverse. And so here, this just sort of made me think of a previous project that had its early mint a week ago, and just sort of a lot of it had a feeling of also other projects that I've been seeing recently that people want to find value in because it's a fun little game that they've created. I think it's so tough to have this on ETH without the stakes being raised. I think that, something like this on Solana, or any other layer 1 and or layer 2 solution is just so much more fun, because here the stakes are so high that the accumulation factor, including the gas costs, force a price upon the game that makes it a bit unwieldy and hard to get into. I'd seen some other versions of this where every time you bought and sold, another element came alive to it, and so you would buy and sell, but you're just like, the gas prices on the buy-ins and the sells is kind of unbearable, but thereby almost forcing value, because then you have like 17 gas fees within this piece of art that's gone back and forth. It has to be accounted for somehow. Somebody has to be able to make that back, and so it has to be accumulated in value. But then at a certain level, like, who wants 17 versions of something that you might not have had a hand in? And so what ends up happening is groups end up dominating this space. Just friends who are probably on boards who want to try and create value through these systems, buy and sell, and work with each other to articulate and combine these projects into front runners in terms of the marketplace. And so the most articulated and the most sort of wrought, like for instance this 240 cells selling at 1 ETH, and you have groups pushing for this. And so another one here, 336 cell, and you can see that only such a small fraction, 0.06, have this many cells at this point in the game. Again, this just minted this morning. LA time, I'm saying hello to you, my friends in Asia, anyhow, right now. So, you have 300, look at that, it's such a small number. And so, it made me start thinking of, I wanted to cover Oni Ronin, but Oni Ronin scares the hell out of me. Oni Ronin is a project from Big Head. Big Head, you may remember from Stoner Cats, actually. And it was a bit interesting and surprising to see them take on this. I think Big Head is probably a very smart group of, clearly, of people who know how to deliver, as they did, and gain experience for Stoner Cats, and certainly learned a lot in that minting. Here's their next project, and like this is about like a week ago at least. They were doing a pre-sale mint, and so I got wind of it, and just kind of tracked it, and I was just like, this project scares the hell out of me in so many ways. I don't know if that's an amazing thing or just like, this is crazy as hell. And so the Ronin, it's got a fun backstory. The Ronin were masterless samurai. They served no lord, had no honor. When the Ronin died, they would meet Oni on their path to the afterlife. The Oni attacked and consumed their souls, turning them into shells of their former selves. Demon samurai trapped in the hell of self-loathing and doubt. The Oni Ronin. And so they don't look very happy here. They look like Predator, wearing a hat that their mother made them. And so the only escape is the Trial of Ascension. Now, the Trial of Ascension, they get into and what it means to their project, and is just terrifying to me. An Oni Ronin of legendary may break free of the Oni possessing them. Some have summoned the strength to challenge their tormentor in a duel, but every single man or woman has stood their ground. Everyone who has fought an Oni has died, but where they have failed, you will succeed. Maybe, but you'll see the odds of this not very high. It is said that the elite chosen few, here we go, will rise up and honor, and who deserve no Oni. Ronin who might defeat their Oni in a celestial combat. Ronin would ascend to heaven and join the ranks of the samurai once more the so-called 88 Golden Ronin. This is a dope backstory. I think this is super cool. But remember that number. Hundreds of years ago, samurai honored a tradition of haiku death poems. The ideal poem was written personally, as close as possible to an honorable death. A number of these poems survive to this day thanks to preservation efforts by historians. Each Oni Ronin comes with one of 20 possible haiku adorning their backgrounds. A real death poem written by a real samurai warrior hundreds of years ago. So that kanji behind them is a death poem. This is going to play in very well and very awesomely, as I'll explain here. And they say here, you'll hear the death poem in its entirety if you go through the trial of ascension. Now, the trial of ascension, the owner initiates a trial of ascension. They commit their Ronin to one of two outcomes. In one case, your Onin is defeated by his Oni and cast into oblivion forever. Let's just say that. Oblivion forever. Their NFTs are burned and replaced in your wallet by a husk destroyed in celestial battle. Its death poem echoing audibly for eternity. So you get to hear the death poem, but your NFT, ostensibly, the image of it is obliterated. And so, or in the other, your Ronin defeats its Oni in combat. Its former self is burned, replaced in your wallet after revealing its true nature as one of the 88 Golden Ronin, having ascended to the honored halls of the noble samurai. Dope. But again, 88 out of 10,000 is pretty mental. And so, it kind of gives maybe a bit more in its description here, fallen in battle, unrecognizable, kind of, talking about the look, because they're terrifying. The predator with its mom's hat. And the Ronin will haunt the location returning audibly. And so, it's only 8,888, not 10,000. But 88 of those, is less than one tenth of a percent, to have a chance to be this golden version of itself. And so the minting, it's not cheap, 0.08. And so that sort of led, I was a bit thrown off. I was just like, the odds of it sounded horrifying to me. I was just like, who would do this? And so I was just kind of like, I don't know if I'm going to get into it or even cover it, honestly, because I didn't see it seemed like a real gamble. And I think that's kind of part of, the new vogue of re-rolling and of, trying to bring value within the NFT collection by gamifying the collection itself has, for me, some value. And you can mint this now. You can mint this right now on the Big Head website, Oni Ronin. And but the results of which, again, you can mint at 0.08. The floor price represents people, as you'll see, who are now. You see, it's a tough chart to look at, because what you're seeing also are the results of the following, them going through the trial. And so you see the first two have gone through the trial, obliterated, kablooied. Your thing turns into a husk, and it's a maybe it says that they add rarities to the husks. I'm not quite seeing that. All I'm seeing is colorized versions. Perhaps that's part of it. They do have the cool death poem, but to gamify it, you feel like, if you did this, you'd be like, oh, that wasn't the golden one. And who wants to buy this? I don't know. Let me play you the pretty cool. And so I'll pause it just before it takes over your soul and does some creepy shit to haunt you and present you with an Oni battle in your afterlife. So for me, I was just like, who wants a husk? And it's just like, it felt like it's such a real gamble. Who's actually going to win this gamble? Is there some sort of metadata tipping that somebody who's really, sophisticated can examine? But it seems like, just for the project, it isn't doing anything for the project other than, having a shit ton of losers and a handful of winners. And so, but if you like the art and you think it's cool, I think it's pretty cool. It's pretty freaking horrifying to me. But you have a select, a bunch of rarities within them. Each, again, seems to be very feeling rarefied because, everything's a bit slightly changed. And if you can read Japanese, the descriptions are very sort of drawn out to the point of, I think, what's modern right now in NFTs is to not have, not really have one section say 27% have this. You want them all to be 3%, 4%, so that you don't get the mechaverse conundrum of having everything kind of look similar. But I will say, when you do look at this collection, a lot of them do look fairly similar just because they're freaking terrifying. But when you look in closer, they are quite different and, very intricate, and it's very cool art for this style. And there's one. There is a Golden Ronin, one of 88 in the collection, 108th for sale. It's probably like a one of one in a sense, because it's going to have these unique traits and be of the golden ilk. And so, and yes, it does have. Man, the guy who does the voiceover on that, right? And so, you're creating this really interesting game, but there's so few winners. I couldn't justify trying to even attempt getting into this space, and I think a lot of people felt the same way. I was a bit surprised by the turnout. Big Head, again, they seem to have the momentum of Stoner Cats with them. They have a Discord that, covers all their bases as in terms of properties, and for them to have 3,000 or so of these of the 88 available, and you're still able to mint, and this is a week later. Clearly they don't, these aren't flying out the door in a sense. But man, hey, there's I only saw 2 there for sale anyway. And so, of these Golden Ronins, is it worth it to try and do these things? I think that becomes the proposal, the value proposition for things like Etholvants and a lot of the other art projects that are, I think, fun social experiments, and they're kind of cool in that way. And, to have this idea of groundbreaking and sort of firsts, I think, is cool. So if you want to get in on those reasons alone, they're cool to have. And the thought that it's going to continually grow is pretty cool in the Etholvants sort of value proposition. As a piece of art, I think that's super dope and pretty cool. Do your own due diligence on how you think that value is going to play out, but it could be significant. Is it a Fidenza, at the end of the day? Who knows, because you don't know what it's going to look like until you wait however many years to get 300,000 cells. And so, or you just buy up the entire collection. And so a lot of great experimentation, and I think that it's nice to see these at work, and tip of the hat to these creators for doing these remarkable experiments in this space. And I think that one of them's going to hit, and not all of them will, and some of them will just have some moderate success, as some of the other ones the collaborative art project ones have. They're fun and people get into them, but because they're on this platform of Ethereum, there's just a limit to it because of the price involved. Because once, then you have the winners, and it's nice to say like, hey, the winner is going to get potentially 100 Ethereum. It's probably not going to sell for that, because who wants to collect that? I don't know. To that degree, at 100 ETH, that's a significant piece of art. Is it cool? Yeah. Is it 100 ETH cool? That's for the buyer to decide. But it's a value proposition that I don't know is as fun as it could be on other chains. And so I'm looking forward to seeing these in other chains, in Solana especially, and other layer ones that are coming to embrace NFTs as much as this marketplace. And so like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. I do this live so that you get an understanding of what's going on. You can mint this right now if you want. You can burn, and if you get a golden Oni Ronin, yeah, man, please drop me some gas fees into my wallet, because that'd be dope. But please like, subscribe. I do this live so that you guys can get an understanding of what is going on in the space currently, and also in the comment section, other projects that are collaborative art projects, or that feel like this. I've talked about Roaring Leaders, and how they're doing a quasi reroll. Certainly, Mutant Apes, are just trying to give value by doing this series of burns and rerolls and augmentations with elixirs and potions and whatnot, to try and give uniqueness to an NFT collection. But at the end of the day, then what if you are just stuck with 1,000 one of ones within a collection of 10,000? How does that value play out in terms of the collection and its ability for collectors to collect? When there's so many one of ones, obviously it'll come down to aesthetics. But like, subscribe, and put that in the notifications there. Ones that you think are working, and in terms of the augmentation game and sort of the collaborative art game. Thanks, guys. I'm going to pass out now because I feel like it's not that late here, but man, putting in the hours. I hope you guys enjoying this. Thanks.